Coming up in today's news, reports on a Decordova Reid link. Maguire shocked by the scaremongering tactics towards Leeds. Arsenal are keeping tabs on RG Gray, and today's rumour mill. Hey folks, Jay here on Wednesday the 5th of June with your Leeds United news. It's pretty quiet around. It'll probably be quiet up until the 14th kicks in when the transfer window officially opens. Leeds keeping one eye on the end of the PSR window, the 30th of June window there as well. So we got some detail on some information and some news around that as well. It's coming up in this as well. But we'll crack on. There's not a massive amount. We'll start off with the Decordova Reid link that popped up this morning. Fulham attacker Decordova Reid rejected an improved 2-year deal at Fulham and is set to leave the club on a free transfer once the window opens. The 31-year-old was a key player for Marco Silva's side last year, playing over 30 games for the club and scoring several goals while he was there as well. He's a pretty versatile player. He can play in any of the attacking players, but is normally a winger, but can play at right back as well. According to reports, Everton and Leeds United are two clubs that have been mentioned, but keeping an eye on the player and having some interest in the player coming into the summer window. Adding experience and another winger to the squad are two things that Daniel Farke will want to make sure that he does this summer. He's talked extensively about adding experience to the squad this year, and with the possibilities of losing Chris Somerville, Willie Gnonto, Jayden Anthony heading back to Bournemouth, Leeds will need to bring in some more wingers. Well, whether Decordova Reid at 31 years of age is the age category he is looking for in that experience is yet to be seen. For me, 31's a little bit on the older side. I think 28, 29 is the experience level he's looking for. 31's a short contract, unless he's looking at bringing players in on a short term. But Decordova Reid had a decent season for Fulham yesterday and has been a consistent player for them. Of all the Reids that are at Fulham, Harrison Reid is the one that I'd like at Leeds. I think he would suit Leeds down to the ground. Hard working, tough player. But one to keep an eye on. I would say it's unlikely, but you never know. You could be surprised. He's a free transfer now. There are more and more players being added to the free transfer list over the last couple of days. So one to keep an eye on. Moving into a bit of a story around Leeds' potential breach of PSR or a points deduction. Stuff that's been rumoured over the last couple of weeks. I've seen it in the comments here. People are worried about a fire sale. Other articles, mostly Facebook, have been saying Leeds are looking at a fire sale, which is not the case. It's not the case. But Maguire has spoken to Leeds Live, or an article in Leeds Live, quoting Maguire, I should say, around the possibility of a fire sale. And Maguire has basically described it as scaremongering. In a piece for Leeds Live, as I said, Maguire said that he was surprised at reports of Leeds having anything to do with any form of a PSR breach. Under PSR rules, Leeds are allowed losses of £61 million over a 3-year period, which will close out on 24-25 season, so the end of the upcoming season. Maguire is confident that Leeds will avoid any breach of this, though, due to the fact that Leeds have sellable assets and have sold players in the intervening periods as well. He said that he was surprised at the amount of attention being given to Leeds around any form of a breach, and he went on to say the following: "They have some significant player sales, so I feel that there is an element of scaremongering here and people not looking at the granular detail of Leeds accounts." He went on to say that the June 30th cutoff point is the one to keep an eye on, and Leeds are likely to sell somebody before that June 30th cutoff, which would then move Leeds away from any form of an issue, should they have an issue in the first place. It's also worth pointing out that the Red Bull investment has been taken into consideration. Will Ferrell's investment and Russell Crowe's investment all have to be taken into consideration as well. Outside of the commercial deal with Red Bull, there was an equity purchase as well. That money comes into the club and can then be used as revenue for the club, as well as the commercial assets. So Leeds have brought in a significant amount of money in the last couple of months as well. And if you listen to Parag Murate, when he was questioned on this, he basically said that we've sold players. We have, as much as we have to pay installments in transfer fees, Leeds are also expected to receive money in transfer installments from other sales as well, and he said that has to be taken into consideration as well. So Maguire is saying any reports of Leeds breaching PSR or any form of a points deduction or fire sale of players is scaremongering and not reality. The reality is Leeds will probably sell one or two if they have to, players that will want to go ahead. We talked about Somerville and Gnonto, and outside of that they should be fine and looking at bringing in players in the summer window. Moving on to a player that's had a huge amount of attention, another club been added to the list of teams teams keeping an eye on him, and that's Archie Gray. According to journalist Ben Jacobs, he has said that Arsenal are keeping a keen eye on Leeds United midfielder come right back Archie Gray. Liverpool, Dortmund and Brighton are all listed as clubs who have an interest in Archie Gray, and if Arsenal were to make a move for them, they would likely come up against competition from them as well as some resistance from Leeds United. Archie Gray signed a new contract at Leeds that will run until 2028, so any form of a bid is unlikely to be accepted by Leeds unless one of two things happen. The player himself looks to force a move away, which is unlikely, or Leeds receives such a bid to an amount that they can't say no to it, which again at this point in his career is unlikely. But Arsenal now keeping another eye on the player as well as all the other clubs who've been watching Archie over the last couple of weeks and months. And then just moving into the rumour mill territory again, for those that are getting wound up by rumours in the comments, this is the reason I'm doing this in this section is this is all unconfirmed information right now. So we'll start off with the stuff around Marc Roca. Yesterday we heard that Marc Roca was heading back to Spain to have another loan season at Real Betis. That looks all but done and dusted, but the lack of any formal announcement has had some rumours popping around. LD Marquet in Spain are claiming that Leeds and Betis are in negotiations around a permanent move for Marc Roca as well. The loan move will happen, but there is a possibility of a loan option being included. The LD Marquez say that Leeds have lowered their asking price for the player, which could put Betis in a position where they could then pay for the player now and take him off Leeds' books on a permanent basis. Going back to that June 30th PSR deadline, that could be one of the sales that could happen as well as any of the loan players that have gone out or have come back. Our fringe players at Leeds as well, like Joe Gelhardt, Charlie Cresswell, all those kind of players, which would be a shame, but possible as well. And then the final link that's popped up around today is a more detail on the AO Tanaka link that's popped up over the last week or so ago. According to Bild in Germany, they are saying that Leo Tanaka has played his last game for Dusseldorf after they failed to get promoted to the Bundesliga last season and have reduced their asking price for the player down to £3 million. In the article, basically say that Leeds did offer £3.5 million for the player last season. That was rejected by Dusseldorf, and then Leeds withdrew from that move and moved their focus to Glenn Kamara. Tanaka is a player that Leeds liked. There was some question marks around what he could do and ability, but they've had a good eye on him this season. And according to Bild, Leeds are very much in the mix to keep an eye on AO Tanaka because it's only coming from Bild right now. I'm sticking it in the rumour mill because it's been rumbling on for a little bit, but it's not been confirmed or any major outlet outside of Bild to pick up this story. So right now, as it stands, it's still a rumour, but another player who could add a bit more dynamism to Leeds United's midfield. He has been talked about as one of the outstanding players in the second tier in Germany last season and has been one of Dusseldorf's standout players this season. So he is a good player. There is some commercial revenue there as well. Signing an Asian player obviously helps with commercial sales of kits in Asia as well, but outside of that he's a very good footballer as well that could add something to the Leeds United midfield in terms of going forward, and Leeds do need goals from midfield, and now Tanaka could be a player who could add those goals to Leeds attack. Outside of that, it's been pretty quiet on the ground, so I'm not going to waffle on. I will leave it there. I'll be back tomorrow morning with more Leeds news. Have a great rest of your day, and I will talk to you then. See ya.